The Ivalari were a terrifying race, tall, elegant, and deadly, with skin that shimmered like molten silver and eyes that glowed a fierce amber. They were as beautiful as they were merciless. Their warrior women, known as the Zaraquai, were the most feared of all, rebellious, unyielding, and bound by no master. The Zaraquai had brought empires to their knees with little more than a glare and a blade. When the Zaraquai rebelled against their own leaders, an entire armada was sent to quell them. Instead, the Ivalari's warriors were shattered, leaving the Zaraquai to establish a brutal reign on the contested moon of Tracenna Prime. For weeks, the moon was declared off-limits. No one dared face them, until humanity, that stubborn, reckless race, sent Corporal Jack Hale. Jack was an odd choice. A former infantryman turned diplomatic consultant. He wasn't what you'd call a hero. He wasn't muscular, brilliant, or particularly intimidating. But Jack had one skill that others lacked. He was funny, or at least he thought he was. "Your mission is suicide," his commanding officer barked. "You'll negotiate with the Zaraquai, or distract them long enough for extraction teams to recover our captured assets. Your life expectancy is 2 hours. Maybe." Jack grinned, slinging his duffel over his shoulder. 2 hours? Hell, that's longer than most of my dates. No one laughed. They rarely did. When Jack touched down on Tracenna Prime, the Zaraquai were waiting. A dozen tall figures surrounded the landing site, their silver armor gleaming under the pale, violet sun. They wielded plasma spears, their faces obscured by ornate masks that reflected Jack's unimpressive reflection back at him. At the center stood Commander Sirai, the fiercest of them all. Her reputation stretched across 3 systems: a rebel leader, a master strategist, and the embodiment of intimidation. Sarai stepped forward, her movements fluid and precise. She removed her mask, revealing a face that was as striking as it was terrifying. Sharp features, amber eyes glowing like coals, and an expression that could freeze blood. "You are the human they sent?" Her voice was low and melodic, but there was venom in her tone. Jack held his hands up in mock surrender. "Well, I'd like to think they sent the best human, but I'll take human for now." The warriors surrounding her shifted uneasily. This human didn't bow, he didn't tremble, and he certainly didn't shut up. Sarai's glare intensified. "You stand before the Zaraquai and treat this as a joke." Jack shrugged. "Why not? I mean, it's not like I have a death wish or anything. Oh wait, I am on your moon, so maybe I do." He flashed a grin. "You all have an excellent reputation for hospitality. By the way." There was silence. The warriors exchanged confused glances. Sarai narrowed her eyes, her grip tightening on her spear. "What is your purpose here, human?" she demanded. "To talk," Jack said, "and to try really, really hard not to get stabbed. Though," he glanced at one of the warriors, "I do appreciate how shiny your weapons are. Do they come in human sizes? I think one would look great in my living room." One of the warriors let out an audible snort before quickly stifling it. Sarai shot her a look so sharp it could have pierced hull plating. Jack pointed. "See? She gets me?" "You mock us," Sarai said coldly. "We could end you in an instant." Jack crossed his arms, smirking. "I know. That's what makes this so much fun." For what felt like an eternity, Sarai simply stared at him. Jack could feel the tension in the air thick enough to choke on. He was beginning to think this wasn't his best idea, until Sarai's lips twitched. "Just barely." "Are you insane?" she asked. Jack grinned wider. "Some people say insane. I prefer charmingly unpredictable." For the first time in her long, storied life, Commander Sirai let out a sound no one had ever heard before. She laughed. It wasn't a loud laugh, more like a low chuckle, but it was enough. The warriors around her froze, their glowing eyes wide with shock. The sound of their legendary leader laughing, a sound as rare as a star going nova, rang across the landing site. Jack blinked. Wait, that was a laugh, right? You're not choking, are you? Sarai's laughter grew louder. It was strange and melodic, as though she couldn't help herself. She covered her mouth with one clawed hand, trying to regain her composure. You aren't absurd, she managed through her amusement. A fool? I get that a lot, Jack said, grinning ear to ear. But I'll take that as a compliment. Over the next several hours, Jack talked, and somehow Sarai listened. He told stories of Earth, its struggles, its victories, and its stubborn people who laughed in the face of disaster because they didn't know what else to do. He made jokes, most of which the Zaraquai didn't understand, but they respected the audacity of a man who stood unarmed before warriors and mocked their seriousness. By the time the extraction teams arrived, they found Jack sitting cross-legged with Sarai, surrounded by Zaraquai warriors who listened intently as he recounted the time he accidentally lit his hair on fire at a barbecue. The war didn't end that day, but something changed. Sarai let Jack leave, unharmed, with the human captives they'd come to rescue. She sent him back with a message. Humans are strange, but they are not without value. Weeks later, when peace talks began between humanity and the Zaraquai, Sarai personally requested Jack as the human envoy. They think you are brave, she told him when they met again. But I know the truth. You are simply too foolish to fear us. Jack grinned. Hey, whatever works. And it did work. Because somehow, impossibly, the human who made the fiercest rebel leader laugh became the bridge between two worlds.